Dear students, welcome to our YouTube channel Vidya for Success. In this video, we will be studying continuation part of theory on the lesson Biological Classification. Yes, now we are moving to the one more kingdom in the kingdom system of classification, that is the kingdom Mycota. So this is the kingdom where we can find different kinds of fungi. Unicellular fungi and multicellular fungi. So fungi, they are very diverse in their structure, in their mode of nutrition, and in the kind of reproduction. So it is very interesting to learn about the organism. So let us study about the fungi in detail. So before moving to our discussion about the characteristic feature of fungi, so first let us understand where do we commonly see fungi. So in our day-to-day life, we come across with different organisms, but we are not aware that which one is fungi. So if we take the example of a rotten fruit like tomato, on the surface of rotten fruit we can find a small woolen thread-like structure. So those are actually the growth of fungi. And the similar growth we can also see on the surface of rotten banana. So those outgrowths on the surface of fruits and vegetables are nothing but fungi. So these are actually absorbing nutrition from the rotten things. So because of this, their growth can be commonly seen on the surface of rotten vegetable. And you can have a look into the one more fungi, that is a mushroom. So most of we are eating mushroom as a part of our food. So this is also an example of fungi, edible. It is a edible fungi. Then similarly we can take a one more example, that is rotten citrus. So you can find some of the creamish patches and greenish patches on the surface of lemon. So these patches are going to disappear the actual color of the citrus. So the actual yellowish color cannot be seen when the fungi grow on the surface. So these patches are nothing but a fungal growth. So these are the common examples where we can find the fungi in our day-to-day life. So let us study about the characteristic feature and habitat of these unique organisms in detail.
Yes, now let us study about characteristic features of fungi. So let us see the habitat. So where do we find fungi? So fungi present everywhere, same like a bacteria. So when we were talking about the kingdom Monera, we have seen the bacteria are ubiquitous in their distribution because they are present everywhere. So like bacteria, fungi are also present in different habitat. They can be found in soil and air, and they can be also found on the surface of plants and animals, and they also grow on dead and decaying organic matter. So when you are talking about the habitat of fungi, you can't say that they are particularly present in soil and they are restricted to only water. Not like that, because they are present in each and every habitat. So the few members are habitat to soil, few are present in air, and some are present on the surface of plants and animals, and some they grow on dead and decaying organic matter. So like this, it is having diversified habitat. It can be found in different habitat. Then how do it survive in its habitat? Because for the survival, the organism require food. So how do the fungi get its food? So let us see the nutrition. So the members are heterotrophic. So what do you mean by heterotrophic? So heterotrophic organisms can't prepare their own food, so that they depends on some other organism for their survival. So when you talk about the heterotrophic organism in the fungi, so again it differs based on the kind of species, because some of the fungi are parasitic, disease causing organism, and some they grow on dead and decaying organic matter, they are called as saprophytic. So again, if you come to the heterotrophic mode of nutrition, we have different types based on the species. Then they prefer to grow on warm and moist area. So the fungi usually grow in warm area. That means the normal room temperature is required for the growth of fungi. So in extreme cold environment they can't grow because they prefer to grow in warm area. That means where the temperature is little warm, in that area they will grow, and for their growth they require moisture. So moisture is very essential for the growth of fungi. So because of that you can find their presence on the surface of rotten vegetable and fruit, because those things consist of moisture. So by taking the help of moisture, it will grow on the surface of fruits or vegetable. Then the fungi are eukaryotic. So we know that except the kingdom Monera, all other kingdom consist of eukaryotic organism. So fungi is also eukaryotic. That means the cell consists of membrane bound cell organelles like endoplasmic reticulum is there, Golgi apparatus is present, and ribosome is present, ATS type of ribosome is present, and nucleus is also present. So nucleus is distinct because it is covered by nuclear membrane. So when we talk about the kind of cell, so we can easily tell that these organisms made out of eukaryotic cell, where do we find membrane bound cell organelles. Then they are multicellular. So most of the fungi are multicellular. That means their body is made out of more than one cell. Clear, right? So they are little complex organisms compared to the other two kingdoms what we have studied till now. Because the kingdom Monera consists of unicellular prokaryotic organism. Kingdom Protista consists of unicellular eukaryotic organism. But the fungi are the first members where we are going to see the multicellular body nature, because they are complex organisms compared to the organisms coming under the Protista and Monera kingdom. So even though we have some of the exception here, so the best organism example for unicellular fungi is yeast. So this is the exception case. So here we can find one of the unicellular fungi, that is yeast. Then they are immobile. So fungi, they are not migrating from one region to another region because they are immobile. So this is the major difference what we can find between slime molds and fungi. So as we have discussed when studying about the slime molds are mobile in their nature, but fungi are immobile. So even though we have similarity in their appearance, the slime molds are mobile, but fungi are immobile. So this is what the difference we can find between slime molds and fungi.
Yes, till now we talked about general characteristic features of fungi. So let us study about the structure of fungi. So what is the actual structure of fungi? So we have seen in the last slide, fungi usually grow in the form of thread-like structure on the surface of rotten fruits and vegetable. So for appearance, it looks very simple, right? But it is actually a complex structure. So what is that thin thread-like structure formed on the surface of rotten vegetable and fruit? So that is actually called as hyphae. So most of the fungi grow as hyphae. So this is the new word, hyphae. What is mean by this hyphae? So hyphae is long, slender, thread-like structure. So usually the fungi, most of the fungi, they grow in the form of thread-like structure. So that long thread we are called as hyphae. So many hyphae are interconnected in the form of network. So that network of hyphae is called as mycelium. So you can see in the diagram, the first diagram, so here you can find the presence of many hyphae. So each thread like structure what you can find here, that is called as hyphae. So many hyphae are there, they are interconnected with one another. So you can find here some 6 to 7 number of hyphae. So they are highly interconnected with one another. So that interconnected network of hyphae is called as mycelium. So the entire first diagram is called as mycelium and each thread is known as hyphae. So if you enlarge the single hyphae, you can see the inner detail structure of the organism, because each of the hyphae is made out of number of cells. So what is there on the outer surface of the cell? So in the fungi, the outer cell wall is made out of one of the component called as chitin and polysaccharide. So this is the second diagram is the enlarged hyphae. So there you can find the number of parts. So for appearance, the hyphae looks very simple, but if you observe under the microscope, you can find the presence of many cells here. So the outermost covering of the fungi is chitin and it is also made out of polysaccharide. Then very next to the cell wall you can find plasma membrane, and next to the plasma membrane we have cytoplasm, then all other cell organelles. So you can find in the diagram properly. So where you can find mitochondria, ribosome, Golgi apparatus, then vacuole, nucleus. So all the cell organelles are present because a fungi is eukaryotic organism. It consists of eukaryotic cell. So because of that, all membrane bound cell organelles are present in each and every cell. So how many cells you could find out here? So this enlarged hyphae is showing 2 cells. Clear? So each cells are separated by one of the cross wall called as septa. So you can find the septa here. So septa is actually a cross wall. This will separate adjacent cells in the hyphae. So in the diagram you can find 2 cells. So like this, one long hyphae consists of multiple cells. So fungi we are called as multicellular organism because many cells are present in hyphae. They are arranged one after the other in the similar way what we are seeing in the diagram. Understood? So because it is a eukaryotic organism, it is having distinct nucleus. Nucleus is highly distinct and it is covered by nuclear membrane. So these are the few information what we can study in the hyphae, because hyphae is a part of fungi, the thread like structure of the fungi. So highly interconnected hyphae we are called as mycelium, and the cell wall of the fungi is always made out of chitin and polysaccharide. So if you see the hyphae, you can find the presence of multiple cell. So each cells are separated from one another with the help of septa. Septa is nothing but cross wall. So this is about the structure of fungi. Yes, now let us study about nutrition in fungi. So if you look into the nutrition, fungi are fall under heterotrophic category because they can't synthesize their food, so they depends on some other organism for their survival. So again under the heterotrophic category, based on what is the actual food of fungi, they are placed under different category. So some of the fungi are saprophytes. What do you mean by saprophytes? So saprophytic fungi, they feed on dead and decaying organic matter. So you might have seen some of the fungi, they grow very well on dead and decaying organic matter in the soil because that is the actual nutrition for their growth. So you can take the best example of mushroom. So where do we find mushroom? So mushroom actually grow on the surface of dead and decaying organic matter because that is the actual nutrition for its growth. So which fungi will grow on dead and decaying organic matter, those fungi are called as saprophytes, because saprophytes actually feed on dead and decaying organic matter, because this is the actual food for their growth. Then some of the fungi are parasitic. What do you mean by parasitic? So parasitic organisms depends on living plants or animals. So plants and animals are living organisms. So parasitic fungi, they survive on other living organism. That means without other living organisms, parasite can't survive, because they will enter into the other living organism and they survive by absorbing nutrition from those organisms, and in turn they causes different kinds of diseases. You can take the best example of ringworm disease. Do you know ringworm disease? So on the surface of skin, in the human being, you can find the red patches. So those red patches are the infections actually caused by fungi. So why actually the fungi growing on the skin? So from the skin it is drawing nutrition. By getting nutrition from the skin, it will grow. So those kinds of organisms are called as parasitic organism. So parasitic fungi, they live on plants and animals by causing number of diseases. Then some of the fungi, they exist symbiotic relationship with other organisms. So again new word here, symbiotic relationship. What is mean by the symbiotic relationship? So in the symbiotic relationship, two different organisms are living together. So in this kind of association, both organisms are mutually benefited. That means one organism helping other organism and other organism helping this organism. Like this, both organisms are mutually associated with one another. So some of the fungi are example of symbiotic relationship. So you can take the best example of uh, plant roots. Plant roots. So in the gymnospermic plant, so some of the plant root consist of fungi. Clear? So the fungi lives within the root of plants, so it is getting shelter there. So when the fungi find in the roots of the plants, there it is getting shelter. So instead of that, the fungi is helping the plant to absorb water and mineral. So maximum absorption of water and mineral is possible because of this association. Understood, right? So when the fungi is associated with the plant root, plant is going to get more amount of water and mineral, and instead of that, plant is giving shelter to the fungi. Understood, right? So this kind of association is called as symbiotic association. So no one is getting harm here, so both are mutually benefited. Clear, right? So these are the different modes of nutrition what we can find in the fungi. So let us quickly revise one by one. So some of the fungi are saprophytes. So what do you mean by saprophytes? So saprophytes always feed on dead and decaying organic matter, and some of the fungi are parasitic. So parasitic depends on living plants and animals, and there it causes number of diseases. And some of the fungi exist symbiotic relationship. That means two different living organisms are lives together. So in this kind of relationship, both are mutually benefited. No one is getting harm here. Understood? Yes, let us move to the mode of reproduction takes place in fungi. So reproduction is very essential process takes place in the living organism. So because of this process, number of organisms keep on continuing from generation to generation. So without reproduction, it is not possible to continue the number of organism. So it is very essential character seen in all the living organism. So how do the fungi reproduce? So reproduction in fungi takes place by two different methods. One is asexual reproduction and another one is sexual reproduction. So first let us discuss about asexual reproduction. So what do you mean by asexual reproduction? So in this kind of reproduction, a single parental organism is going to produce number of offspring. So there is no involvement of two parents here. Understood. So in the asexual reproduction, different members show different kinds of reproduction. So one of the asexual reproduction is by takes place by spore formation. So here, in case of fungi, the spore formation is very common type of asexual reproduction. So what do you mean by spores? So spores are small, spherical shaped asexual propagules, reproductive propagules. So these are arises actually from the reproductive organ. Reproductive organ, fungi will be consist of reproductive organ. In that reproductive organ, small spherical shaped propagules will be, asexual propagules will be arises. So those are nothing but spores. So they are very small microscopic structures. So they easily carry through wind current. So wind easily carry these spores, so that they will fall into the new habitat and they will give rise to new organism. So this is how the reproduction takes place by spores. So there are number of different kinds of spores we can see in different members of fungi. So some they will form conidiospores. So this is one kind of spore formation we can see in the fungi, that you will study in detail when we are discussing about each classes of fungi. Then one more type of spore is aplanospores. Then one more is sporangiospores. So these are the different types of spores can be seen in the fungi during asexual type of reproduction. So you have to remember all this terminology. That means conidiospores, it is one kind of spores, aplanospores, then sporangiospores. So these terminologies you have to practice. Then one more kind of asexual reproduction is fragmentation. So reproduction by mycelial fragmentation. So fragments, nothing but pieces. So as we know, fungi when it's grow on the organic matter, it will grow in the form of thread-like structure. Clear? So that thread-like structure, highly connected thread-like structure, we are calling as mycelium. So this mycelium undergo number of fragments. That means it will divide it into number of pieces by any of the physical damage or with the wind current. So whatever may be the external forces, they will make the fragmentation of mycelium. So each of the fragment which in turn give rise to the formation of new organism. Say for example, you have only one hypha. So one hyphae is divided into 4 or 5 pieces. So each of the fragment, that means piece, will develops into new fungal hyphae. So this is what we are calling as fragmentation. Then some of the fungi also reproduces by budding. So budding is commonly seen in one of the unicellular fungi. So which we are calling as a unicellular fungi? Yes, yeast. So in that organism, new this thing small one will be arises from the parental body. So that new organism will exactly looks like a parental organism, and initially that is get attached with the parental body, and when it grow up it will get detached from the parent and it will survive as a new individual. So this is what we are calling as budding. So budding is a vegetative type of or asexual type of reproduction. These buds are exactly looks like parent. Understood, right? So these are the few different types of asexual reproduction can be seen in different members of fungi. Yes, now let us move to the one more kind of reproduction seen in fungi, that is sexual reproduction. So when the fungi reproduces by sexual method, because we have already discussed about asexual reproduction, there the fungi is going to reproduce by different method. So some they will form spores during their asexual reproduction, and some they will reproduces by fragmentation, and some by budding. So these that means asexual reproduction is commonly seen in fungi during favorable environmental condition. That means when the environment is suitable for the growth of fungi. So during such a condition, they will always reproduce this by asexual method. But when the environment is not suitable for the growth of fungi, during that time they start reproducing by sexual method. So sexual reproduction often occurs in response to adverse environmental condition. So that when environment is not suitable for their growth, they start reproducing by sexual method. So when we are talking about the sexual reproduction, so we have to uh, remember few of the terminologies what we are using here. And before going to the terminology, so one information you should know with regarding the sexual reproduction in fungi. Because whenever we talk about the sexual reproduction in organism, usually we consider two parent. So one of the parent is male and another parent is female. But when we come to the fungi, we are not using male and female parent here. Instead of that, we are representing one parent as plus, that means plus sign, and another parent as negative sign, that means minus. Clear? So we are not calling the parents as male and female parents here. Instead of that, we are calling one parent as plus and another parent as negative. So this is depends on the kind of strain present in the hyphae. So we know hyphae is this small thread like that means long slender thread like structure. It is actually vegetative this thing body of the fungi. So one of the hyphae is called as positive hyphae and another hyphae is called as negative hyphae when they are involved in sexual reproduction. So this you should remember. And let us come to the terminologies we are using here. So one of the common terminology is haploid. So what do you mean by haploid? So haploid is nothing but a kind of cell when it consists of single complete set of chromosome. So when a single cell consists of one complete set of chromosome, that is called as haploid cell. Let us take the example of human body. So in our body we have 46 number of chromosomes in cell. Clear? So those 46 number of chromosomes, they are arranged in pair, so that when we are telling in pair, we will tell like 23 pairs of chromosomes are present in our cell. Understood? So uh, during the time of reproduction, so our body is going to produce gametes. So those gametes are not having 46 number of chromosomes. Understood, right? So they consist of only 23 number of chromosomes. Clear, right? So that gamete is haploid in nature. All other body cells in our body is diploid in nature. Understood, right? So when the cell consists of only one set of chromosome, so that kind of cell is called as haploid cell. So this is a very important terminology you should remember. Then the one more terminology is the diploid. So diploid, di is nothing but two, ploid is nothing but chromosome. So when the cell consists of two complete set of chromosomes, we are calling that a cell as diploid cell. So you can take the example of our own body cells. So all the somatic body cells in our body consist of diploid number of chromosome. Clear, right? So for haploid cell, you can take the example of gametes, and for diploid cell, you can take the example of somatic cells in our body, because the somatic cells consist of two complete set of chromosomes. Clear? So let us move to the detailed study of sexual reproduction takes place in fungi. So when we talk about the sexual reproduction, so we have to learn one of the important concept is sexual cycle, because a sexual cycle is very important. It is commonly seen in fungi. So this sexual cycle takes place by three steps. So it involves three different steps. So one of the step in the sexual cycle is plasmogamy. Clear? So plasmogamy is one step of sexual cycle in fungi. So what do you mean by plasmo? So plasmo is nothing but protoplasm. So from there where this word is derived. So we know cytoplasm, right? So cytoplasm plus the nucleus we are calling as protoplasm. Clear? So gamete is nothing but fusion. So in the first step, protoplasm fusion takes place. Clear, right? So the meaning of plasmogamy is fusion of protoplasm. So which type of cells are involved in fusion? So if you come to the plasmogamy, fusion of protoplasm between two motile or non-motile gametes. So gametes are haploid in their nature. That means they consist of only one set of chromosomes. Clear? So during reproduction, sexual reproduction, two haploid gametes, they come together and they will fuse. Clear? So in the first step, not the nucleus is going to fuse. Instead of that, only protoplasmic component between the two gametes fuses together, that means mixes together. So that process we are calling as plasmogamy. So this is the first step what we can see in the sexual cycle of fungi. So will you remember, right? So the first step of sexual reproduction is plasmogamy in fungi. So plasmogamy is nothing but fusion of protoplasm between two motile or non-motile gametes. Then the second step is karyogamy. So karyo is nothing but nucleus, gamy is nothing but fusion. So already in the first step we have seen the fusion of cytoplasm, that means protoplasm, has occurred. But in the second step, in the karyogamy, nucleus going to fuse and it will result in the formation of zygote. So what will happen when the two nuclei fuse together? So when two nuclei, haploid nuclei fuse together, it is going to form a diploid this thing nucleus. So that diploid nucleus in the cell is considered as zygote. Clear? So karyogamy is nothing but the fusion of nucleus. This results in the formation of diploid cell that is known as zygote. So zygote formation can be seen after karyogamy. So this is the second step. Then in the last step, meiosis takes place. So what we are calling zygote, that is actually diploid body. So that diploid body is having two sets of chromosome. So in the third step, it undergo reductional division. So by the reductional division of zygote, haploid spores will form. Clear? So finally, the spores formed are having only one set of chromosomes. Clear, right? So the spore formation takes place at the end of the sexual cycle. So again these spores migrate away from the parental body, and they will give rise to the formation of new fungi. So this is how the sexual cycle takes place commonly in fungi. Clear, right? So you can see in the schematic representation here. So the first step is plasmogamy, where the fusion of protoplasm takes place between two motile or non-motile gametes. And the second step is karyogamy. Karyo is nothing but nucleus. Gamy is nothing but fusion. So only the fusion of nuclei occurs in the second step. It will lead to the formation of zygote. Clear? So what is the this thing, set of chromosome find in the zygote? Two sets of chromosome. Clear? So the zygote again undergo meiosis, and as a result it form haploid spores. Clear? So this is a very important cycle, sexual cycle takes place in fungi. Yes, let us study little more detailed information with regarding sexual cycle in fungi. So according to the sexual cycle of fungi, there are three steps are present. One is plasmogamy, that means a fusion of protoplasm, and the next step is karyogamy, where the fusion of nuclei takes place, and the third one is meiosis of zygote that results in haploid spores formation. So these three steps are commonly takes place in the sexual cycle of all the fungi. But there are few fungi, in those fungi plasmogamy does not immediately followed by karyogamy. That means fusion of protoplasm takes place, and after that karyogamy does not takes place. That means nuclei does not undergo fusion. So you just imagine plasmogamy occurred in between two gametes, but immediately they does not result in the karyogamy. So what will happen without karyogamy? What condition you can see? So without fusion, so the two nuclei of two gametes remain present as it is in one cell. So that is what the condition we can see in few members of fungi. So that condition is known as dikaryon. So di means what? Two. Karyon is nothing but nuclei. So two nuclei remain present as it is in one cell without undergoing any fusion. So that condition is known as dikaryon. Clear? So let us see the definition. So dikaryon is nothing but plasmogamy is not immediately followed by karyogamy. This results in intervening dikaryotic stage. So intervening stage is nothing but where the nuclei does not involved in fusion, they remain present as it is in the cell. So this dikaryotic stage is seen in some of the member. So that condition is called as dikaryon. So you can see here N plus N, that means one nuclei and another nuclei, the nuclei from two different gametes, they are present, remain as it is in one cell. So that condition is known as dikaryon. So which fungi they are showing this condition? So the fungi belongs to the category Ascomycetes and Basidiomycetes. They are commonly showing this stage. Clear, right? So you have to remember these two terminologies, that is Ascomycetes and Basidiomycetes. So these are some of the categories of fungi. So in these two categories, some of the fungi are belong. So those fungi, they are showing dikaryon condition. Clear, right? So this is very important concept for the point of examination. So they will ask you to write the definition with the example of fungi showing this stage. Clear, right? So you can also observe in the diagram, so where we can notice the dikaryon stage in the cell. So in the first cell you can, in the first diagram you can see two cells are present. So two cells are nothing but they are gametes. So in the next step they undergo fusion. Clear? So during the first fusion only protoplasm mix together, and that is we are calling as a plasmogamy. So plasmogamy does not followed by karyogamy. So as a result, 2 nuclei remain present as it is in one cell. Clear, right? So that stage we are calling as dikaryon.